And joining us now to talk more about those concerns and other topics related to the state of our schools, Maggie Moroff, a special education policy coordinator for the Advocates for Children of New York. Maggie, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We want to get right to that big announcement from the mayor today. I know your colleague addressed it in Carmen's story, but school busing has been secured for the start of the school year come September 21st. Almost 6,000 special education routes in the process of being finalized. What is your reaction to that news? Does it do enough to get students where they need to be and keep them safe at the same time?
So we're excited that they've made this announcement finally. We're dangerously close to the start of the school year, and usually sort of weeks before school, families know what their routes are going to be. There's still a lot more that has to happen. If it all happens, then this is really great news. The devil's going to be in the details.
To be learned in that plan, obviously, in the weeks to come. And this news coming on the heels of yesterday's announcement regarding the details of the city's child care program, Learning Bridges. In your opinion, does it provide enough support for students with special needs?
So we're still waiting for finer details on that. We put out a series of recommendations several weeks ago, and one of the ones in that was around the Learning Bridges centers. We'd like them. We want to know how they're going to be meeting the needs of the kids with disabilities, with a range of disabilities. We'd also really like to see them available for the older students with disabilities. Right now, they're only available for students through 8th grade, but by definition, students with disabilities, regardless of age, are going to be in need of additional support on the days that they're not in school and the times they're not in school.
Obviously, a lot of focus right now on the details and what will come out as we learn more about them. This is something that the Advocates for Children of New York has kind of pushed the Department of Education to release more information about, especially now that we have a little bit more time with the pushback date of in-person learning now starting September 21st. From your perspective, do you feel as though the DOE is coming forth with enough details given the time they bought themselves with that pushback date?
It's all unrolling as we go. There's so many open questions still, and a lot of the information. One of our primary concerns is getting information into the hands of families. So families are learning about things as it gets rolled out, but there's so many questions that families have right now. It's really a time, even more than usual, to be engaging families and talking with them. So we are worried that families have so many questions that are still out there. It's changing day to day.
Yeah. And given your conversations with those parents, what are some of the biggest concerns you've heard from them, and what does the Department of Education need to do to address those in a timely fashion given the approaching start of in-person learning?
Great. So there are a million questions, right? What is school going to look like if my child is learning remotely, if my child is learning in person, if they're doing a hybrid of the two? How are they going to get their related services? How are they going to get their instructional support? Who's going to be teaching my child? Is it going to look different depending on the service organization that families are opting into? What is the DOE going to do to address gaps that happened in the last 6 months? There's a lot of learning that didn't happen for a lot of our students with disabilities for a whole number of reasons. So how is the DOE going to address that up until today? And then still, because families don't have their routes, how is my child going to get to school if they're going to school? How are the schools going to coordinate related services, OT, PT, counseling, and academic instruction to make sure that all of the time in school, out of school, synchronous, asynchronous is maximized? I think the questions go on, but those are the key ones.
Thank you so much for taking the time to bring those to our attention and for your work in advocating for the children. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We appreciate it, Maggie.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And you can join us tomorrow as we talk to United Federation of Teachers President Michael Mulgrew. And there is a whole section on our website dedicated to back to school. So please visit news12.com, click on the State of Our Schools banner at the top of the page for more information.